November 24, 1971, a Thanksgiving Eve. A storm rages over the Pacific Northwest. Northwest Orient Flight 305 climbs into the night sky bound for Seattle. A short 30-minute trip, but on board among just 36 passengers sits a man who will soon become American legend. A man with no past and no future, a man known only as D.B. Cooper. He looked like an ordinary businessman, a black suit, white shirt, black pants. He seemed to be around his mid-40s. Quite a calm. He chooses to sit in the very back of the plane, seat number 18E. After takeoff, D.B. Cooper called over one of the flight attendants, a 23-year-old woman named Florence Schaffner. Smiling politely, he handed her folded note. Florence thought it was just another man trying to flirt with her, so she slipped the note into her pocket without reading it. But then, Cooper leaned closer and spoke into a steady voice. "You'd better read that note. I have a bomb." When Florence finally opened the note, she saw neat handwriting. "Miss, I have a bomb in my briefcase. I want you to sit beside me." Shaken, Florence quietly sat down next to the Cooper, though part of her still doubted him. But Cooper wasted no time proving he was serious. He slowly opened his briefcase, revealing red cylinders, tangled wire, and a large battery. It looked exactly like a bomb. There was no room for doubt now. Cooper then laid his demand. He wanted $200,000 in cash by 5 p.m. That money had to be packed in a bag. Along with it, he demanded 4 parachutes, 2 front, 2 back. When the plane lands, he also wanted a fuel truck ready to refill the jet. Calmly but firmly, he warned Florence not to try anything or he would blow up the plane. Meanwhile, the other passengers remained completely unaware of the danger. Florence didn't want to cause panic, so she quietly went into the cockpit and showed the pilot the Cooper's note. Another flight attendant, Tina McClough, was told about the situation and took a seat beside Cooper. She and Florence acted as the link between Cooper and the pilot, passing messages back and forth. The pilots quickly alerted air traffic control, and within moments, the news reached the man in charge of Northwest Orient Airline, Donald Nyrop. Donald Nyrop is the president of Orient Airline, and he made a bold decision. He instructed the staff to cooperate with Cooper's demand. No argument, no resistance. Everything the hijacker asked for was to be done. Working with the FBI, Nyrop quickly contacted a Seattle bank to gather the ransom money. Luckily, the bank already had a large reserve of cash set aside for emergencies like this. But there was something unusual about this money, something I'll reveal later in the story. You might be wondering, why would the airline president agree so easily? The answer was simple: reputation. Nyrop feared that if the news of the hijacking spread worldwide, it would severely damage the company's image and cause huge financial losses. To protect the airline's name, he decided it was better to quietly meet Cooper's demand. But there was a problem. Collecting $200,000 in cash would take time, and the flight from Portland to Seattle was supposed to last only 30 minutes. To buy more time, the pilots were instructed not to land right away. Instead, they kept the plane circling in the sky above Seattle while the money was being prepared on the ground. What was supposed to be a quick half-hour flight slowly stretched into nearly 3 long hours, yet the passengers still had no idea of the crisis unfolding. The pilots calmly announced over the speaker that the plane was experiencing minor technical issues, and everyone believed it. Finally, at 5:46, the plane landed at Seattle Airport. Following Cooper's instruction, the aircraft was parked far away from the main terminal in a quiet, isolated spot. Soon, an airline staff approached the plane carrying a bag filled with money and 4 parachutes. Cooper inspected the delivery and, satisfied, kept his word. He allowed all the passengers and most of the crew to leave, everyone except one of the flight attendant, Tina McClough. Once the passengers were gone, the refueling began. The jet roared back to life and lifted off into the night sky again. But this time, the cabin was nearly empty. Only Cooper, Tina, and 3 pilots remained on board. Calmly and precisely, Cooper gave the pilots detailed instruction. Head toward Mexico City. Fly at the altitude of 10,000 feet. Plane's wings had to stay tilted at a 15-degree angle, and the speed as slow as possible. The pilots hesitated. They explained to Cooper that with those settings, the aircraft wouldn't have enough fuel to reach Mexico City. The flight simply couldn't make it that far, but Cooper didn't seem worried at all. He calmly told the pilots to follow his instruction exactly. Friends, what happened next feels like something straight out of a movie. Cooper asked Tina McLaughlin to move into the cockpit and lock the door behind her. That left him alone in the empty cabin. He then pulled out the parachute and began preparing for a jump. Moments later, a warning light flashed inside the cockpit. It showed that the rear staircase of the plane had been lowered. This was a rare feature of the Boeing 727 at that time, which had a special staircase at the back that could drop down in mid-air. Cooper had deployed those stairs with the bag of money strapped to him and parachute on his back. He disappeared in the dark, stormy skies. The pilots and Tina saw nothing. They were locked inside the cockpit, and at that time there was no peepholes and cameras to see what was happening outside. But at 8:13 p.m. something strange happened. The pilot felt the aircraft suddenly jolt and the tail dip before sharply tilting upward. They had to quickly stabilize the jet. It was the moment everyone believes Cooper made his daring jump. The plane eventually flew to Reno, Nevada and landed safely. Police swarmed the aircraft ready to capture Hijacker. But when they searched the cabin, Cooper was gone. The only thing he left behind were a black tie with a clip and some torn pieces of parachute fabric items he had apparently used to secure the bag of ransom money. Cooper himself had vanished in the night, leaving no trace behind. Investigators also found a few personal items that belonged to Cooper, like the cigarette he had been smoking during the flight. Back then, smoking were allowed on the planes. They found pieces of parachute like he cut them to tie the bag of cash and other things with him. The FBI carefully searched the entire cabin and collected 66 fingerprints that could not be matched to any of the passengers or crew members. But strangely, the most important things were missing: the briefcase that held the bomb, the parachute, and of course, the bag of money. All gone just like Cooper himself. From that day, the FBI launched a massive investigation to find him, but Cooper had vanished without a trace. The search dragged on for 45 years, and only in 2016 did the FBI officially close the case. Yet, even today, questions remain unanswered. Who was Cooper? What happened to him when he jumped? And what about the money? Was it ever recovered? Too many mysteries and no solid answer. The hijacking remains the only one in history that has never been solved, on one of the greatest puzzles the FBI has ever faced.